Hi everybody, I'm Mary Rose Feldman and welcome to Friday of Free Class Week. If you've been here every day of the week, thank you for following along. If you're just joining and you're starting with Friday, welcome to my studio. All are welcome. I hope you enjoyed this process so far and jump in and out whenever you need to. There's no particular order. This is all about just tangling together. Even though it's pre-recorded, we're tangling together. And I'm sending you positive and good energy all the time and encouragement. Okay, so today's class, we're going to work with our regular microns, fine liners, whatever you're using to tangle. And I'm working on a regular square white tile, 3.5-inch square, or any type of tile that you want, paper, journal, watercolor paper, doesn't matter. Reminder that I'm going to go at my own pace for the size of the video, so please pause as needed and enjoy your pen stroke, enjoy your tangling. Please do not rush and please do not feel stressed if I'm going on to the next item. And I think that's it. Let's have a moment of gratitude and we'll get right into our tile today. Take a couple good deep breaths. Take a moment to appreciate your surroundings, wherever you are. Appreciate this time to tangle. Appreciate your supplies. Ground yourself into your breath. Whatever cues help you to calm and relax. That's what you can do. Our affirmation, randomly pulled, is I believe in myself. Absorb that affirmation. Set aside your inner critic. Have a moment of gratitude. Pause for as long as you'd like and come back when you're ready. All right, there we go with our affirmation today. This is from my Tangle deck, randomly pulled for class. All right, we are doing 2 tangles today. The first one is called Nick by Bunny Wright. And the second one is Zentangle Headquarters Printemps. Nice, simple tangling today. I have my tile right here, and we're going to start with pencil. What we want to do is, at the top, imagine the middle and just put a tick mark. And on the sides, imagine the middle and just put a tick mark. And our string is just going to connect those. So middle-ish, doesn't have to be exact. It's all good. Just an edge to tangle up to. I'm going to grab my 05 pen and we are going to start with Nick. And Nick starts with an aura that breaks into a diamond. So you imagine that diamond shape without the points at the top and bottom. They're open that follow into arid lines. And my recommendation on this is it has more energy, in my opinion, when it's less perfect on this one. So don't worry about the diamonds being exact, and we want them all different sizes and shapes and, whatever. Well, they're all kind of diamond shapes, but you'll see what I mean. Okay, so I'm just going to randomly start from the bottom of this string line. I'm going to come down and I'm going to do a skinny aura. And somewhere along that line, I'm going to imagine a diamond shape. I stop about equal and then I come down. These 2 lines don't touch and they continue. I'm going to pick another random place. Let's say up here, I'm going to do the aura. Diamond. Continue. And then on this one, I'm going to put another diamond. So you don't want these diamonds to line up. The more random, the better. These are our first few, so I'm spacing them out. Let me put one here where it goes low. So right now I'm spacing out these red lines and the diamonds. Let me do one over here. And this is going to look a little messy until we get some line weight and shading in here. So don't be scared halfway through. Okay, so maybe up here. So notice I'm starting to fill in the gaps a little bit. I'm going to get one really close to the edge over here. Okay, so that's layer 1. And now I'm going to do layer 2, and I'm going to start to get some of these a little closer together. They don't necessarily have to touch yet, because we're going to do a bunch of auras. If they do, just draw behind. I don't mind about getting some smaller diamonds in there. I think it adds some interest. This one I'm putting 3. And you're going to want some in this next layer, this layer and the next one. You want to start closing up some of these gaps. So I'm trying not to have these in a rhythm, an obvious rhythm at least. Oops. So I think I'll stop there and then show you what the next step is. So you fill in as much as you want, but the next step is where the magic is. What you do is you pick whichever stem you want, and you're going to aura. So I'm going to come down to here and I'm going to aura. And then I'm going to aura again. And let's say I'm going to aura here now. So eventually what these auras are going to do is they're going to meet in the gap. And you decide which aura ends up on top. So see how I'm meeting? I'm doing auras and I'm getting them to meet. Close up that gap. I'm going to now take this aura, this side, and I'm going to keep going. Now it's drawn behind. So see how it started to get drawn behind? I'm going to do one more, and this is intuition, exploration. There's not a rule. Okay, so I did auras on that side. Now I'm going to just fill in these gaps. So I'm auraing one side. I can keep auraing here, or I can choose to aura here. And I think it's fun when you change it up. So it looks a little bit messy, but when we add line weight and shading, you're going to get really cool depth on this. So that's what you do. You come into each section. So I did one aura there, and now I'm going to aura the other side. Anytime I can emphasize that diamond area, I think it's kind of fun. So don't be afraid to just explore. So you can see it looks really messy right now. I'm also making decisions on some that I might aura the top of it, but then I switch to the other side and aura something else. It doesn't have to be logical. I also want to encourage you to just embrace wavy, wonky lines. This would not look as interesting if you had perfectly even lines. Shaky lines give your tangling energy. Okay, so that's what you have when you get done tangling. And it looks a bit of a mess. Don't worry about it. Okay, so I'm going to switch to a PN pen and maybe an 08, just a little bit thicker. If you don't have a thicker pen, don't worry about it. You can use whatever you're using. I do want to just trace that string line at the top. We could have done that in the beginning. I just went into tangling and forgot about it. Okay, and then in each of our diamond shapes, we are going to aura the inside and color that in. So we're going to emphasize that diamond shape now, give it a little bit of drama. And my diamond shapes aren't always exactly even. right, I got all of them. Improved already. It needed that drama. The next step on this, I'm going to go with my 08 again, a little bit thicker. And what we want to do is add some contrast to this. And it is very subjective where you want to add contrast. So when I look at this, where do I see levels popping forward? So when I sit back and look at this, I see this line right here kind of popping forward. So I'm going to darken that line. And then maybe right here. So there's not a right and a wrong way. And when I do this, I may accidentally combine two lines together. It doesn't matter to me. I'm okay with that. So another one that I see popping forward is right here. So this is the angle that I see sitting on top. Another way to say this is, where do you see your shading edges? Where you can, something is being tangled underneath. This is a great place for perspective, to hold out your tile, to squint, to take a picture with your phone and look at it on your phone. And the line might not go all the way to the top. It might be a partial edge, like right here, it stops there. Literally, this is exploration. I would suggest that you do a little bit and then hold it out. You don't want to go too far with this. You don't want to do too much of it, is what I mean to say, because you don't want to make the tile too dark. Okay, I think I'll stop there. And you can see on camera the difference already. Just with that little bit of line weight edging. It's not even line weight, it's thickening lines. Line weight is usually when you round corners and things like this. This is actually thickening the lines to get the contrast of the auras versus the edges. All right, so we're going to leave that there for now, and we're going to tangle Printemps up in these corners. And we want to tangle Printemps pretty large because this is very dense tangling, and we want to contrast those lines and that density with something open. The first thing I'm going to do is aura this edge because I want a little breathing space between the two. And then I'm going to come in and get Printemps really large. And I'm a tiny tangler, so I need to remind myself that I'm tangling really large because this will get tiny if I'm not careful. And it's okay if you have one or two in here that are tiny, just to fill in some space. So when I do Printemps, I try to go different angles. I'll start my center clockwise one time and counterclockwise the other. And then I also try to turn my tile so that all the swirls aren't in the same repetition. I'm just going to do a little bit of weighting to get my little bit more contrast in that tangle. We've got plenty of drama going on with the Nick tangle, so I really want this to just be light and airy. All right, there we go. This one's a little really crooked. My goodness. Okay. So let's get some shading on here. The first place I'm going to shade is just this base of Printemps. I really want to try to keep Printemps bright. So I'm going to shade this base first. And then just with the graphite that's on my tortillon or paper stump, I'm just going to give a little bit of love to some of the bright white areas, but I'm not going to do any major shading up there because I want it to be light and airy, like I've said. If you want to spend more time on it, you are absolutely welcome to. So now let's talk about Nick. Where we put those dark lines, we are going to now get some shading because we've already defined where some of this overlap is. And let me do just a little bit and then you can see what happens. And you can put shading where you don't have a dark line. Like right here. Well, I guess I have a dark line there. Okay, let me just shade this out and you can see. It is very important that you keep some highlight though. When you blend out your shading, you don't want to blend it all the way. You want to keep some areas bright to get that layering. And I've said the word contrast several times, but it's really, really, really important. You can also, where you have these points line up with the graphite on your tortillon, you can actually offer just a little bit of graphite in those areas where points line up. But look at the depth now that you can get on this tangle. I just love it. So go ahead and add shading in whatever form works for your tile. You could never do this tangle the same way twice. If you're unsure, just pick a place and say that I'm going to make this area recede and see what it does. It's a great tangle for exploring aura and shading and depth. If you're doing this on a Renaissance tile or denim or gray or a colored tile, This is a great time to use white chalk pencil on the highlight areas. This is a great time to use a specialty graphite that's extra dark or a black colored pencil and get into these really deep corners. But look at the depth now that you have on that very simple tangle. The last thing I'm going to do is just the inside of this. It ended up looking a little bit like a house, but that wasn't really the intent. A little bit of shading at the top. And there you have it. Really, really a fun tangle. Go ahead and put your chop. This one I'm going to have to put up here because the bottom is pretty busy. And there you have it. Take a really good deep breath. Moment of gratitude. Thank you for tangling with me this week. Thank you for spending some time with me. And I can't wait until we can do it again soon. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.